All right, so we had a question about one of the questions that on the pop quiz that we had, question 19. Company wants to have a backup site, but it's a good balance between cost and recovery time objectives. Which of the following is the best solution? Hot site, remote site, cold site, and warm site. All right, so first things first here, what we want to do is we want to give ourselves a 50-50. Okay, what does that mean? Well, that means that we want to eliminate two answers right off the get-go here. So good test-taking techniques, that's what we want to do. We want to go ahead and knock out two answers that we know that it is definitely not. And in order for us to do that, we have to have some intelligence on what this topic is right here. So they're saying the company wants to have a backup site. It's a good balance between cost and recovery time, which is the best solutions. Well, let's just enumerate each one of these. A hot site, I'll just write it over here, hot. Usually a hot means that you have fault tolerance and it is 100% available. So let me give you an example. Amazon or Facebook or any stock market trading companies. If their website goes down, they lose money. So that means that what they have to have is they have to have different locations that have replication between different nodes on the network. So they have to make sure that the databases are in sync, the web servers are in sync, and you can do that through what's called a load balancer. And the load balancer is essentially an appliance. It can be software as well, but usually you'll see them implemented into an appliance. And what happens with the load balancer that works pretty well is that it will allow you to, if you have change colors, let's say that you have, the internet here. That's my naive little world. Kind of looks like a blue baseball. But over here you have, let's say, a little laptop. If you go and hit the website over here, you could just have a really simple solution where, hey, it's just static HTML. But if this is a dynamic website, usually what you'll do is you'll stand up DNS right here to point to an appliance, and the appliance here would be like some sort of managed device, like router, switch, or whatever, and you can actually set it up to load balance. So if the load comes really heavy, like let's say you want to sell something on Super Bowl Sunday, a bunch of requests come in, somebody overwhelms your system, DNS says, hey, I'm going to route the traffic to this load balancer, and then the load balancer underneath here could have n number of web servers underneath it. So really you try to slice and dice the node in what's called a round robin approach. So if the first one is tied up, go to the next one, next one's tied up, go to the third, and so on. And this could be very, very easy from a network architecture's perspective. You can very easily say load is in this particular case, and what we usually will find is that if it's in, that means you can have just a bunch of different things on the network. So the load goes down here. These could be all web servers, and you probably get the point now. We could actually do the same thing underneath it. For web servers, they could go to another load balancer underneath. Wow, this thing's zooming in on me pretty good. And there it goes. Uh, but essentially, what we see here is pretty easily you can scale up for massive amounts of traffic if you. And here, I'll just write down here web. This is the database. And what this means is that if this web server, let me change, this web server right here goes down, this link goes down right here, then the load balancer says, hey, this link is down or overwhelmed, let's go to this guy. If this guy goes down, we're going to round robin it to, now you have 2 nodes on the network. But essentially what you do is you make it hot. So it's available 100% of the time. And the easy way to correlate this in your mind for the test is big money. So usually that costs a lot of money in order to do that. So I'll just draw $3 signs here for this. And interestingly enough, hot is equal to 100% availability, which means that you'll have replication agreements and a whole kit and caboodle. A cold site is where you'll usually need somewhere in the neighborhood of, or you put a lot of your paper or DVDs or important documents at the cold site. And for some reason, I always think of a warehouse out in the middle of nowhere that you try to do your due diligence by backing up stuff, but essentially, like things that cannot be very quickly resurrected. I mean, if you think about it, if you need to, stand up a VM or an image off of a DVD, and oh, by the way, you got to go up to Podunk, Kentucky to get it. That's gonna take you a little bit of time. So this particular context, cold, it means that it's 0% availability, 0% availability, and for all practical purposes, it still costs some money, but it's much more affordable because you're not paying for the availability. So you guessed it, here in the middle is our warm site, and the warm site really it comes down to what is your mission critical stuff. Well, warm site could be, let's say, 60% of the assets have availability. The number one thing that people will typically have in the warm sites are email and payroll. So you have those 2 things specifically in your warm site, and the warm site is a good mix of, you could put the items from the cold site there as well, but you are going to be able to pay a premium to utilize email and payroll. So it's a good mix between the cost and the amount of time that it recovers, because if you have 60% up but you still have 40% down, that's going to be a big deal. So immediately in my mind, when I do 50 approach, and I say to myself, good cost or good balance between cost and recovery time. This is high cost. This is low cost, long recovery. A remote site, you could answer here, and it could be the correct one, but really the definition, if we look it up in any book or any definition for the test, it's going to be a warm site. And hopefully this over here and our neat little web diagram down here helps to draw that a little bit better for you, to help you understand. So hopefully we were able to do that.